We're here to talk about the biggest in-person single sport event in the world, the FIFA World Cup. So I'm very pleased now to say hello to Colin Smith. We're delighted to be joined now by Colin Smith, the Chief Competitions and Events Officer of FIFA. He's here today to talk to us about the FIFA World Cup 2022. Thanks very much for joining us, Colin. It's great to speak with you. And it's now only 145 days to go until the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, but it's been a very long time in the making. I can remember when Qatar was announced as a host way back in 2010, it would have been. And it's obviously a huge thing for Qatar and the Middle East. What do you think the event will do for the region?
Hi Ben, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Yes, it's a long time in coming. Every World Cup, when it comes around, we've been working on it for years, obviously. Since 2010 when the announcement, and some of us have been working on this now for 7 years. In the case of myself, no, it's huge for the Middle East. It's the first World Cup in the Middle East, the first World Cup in the Arab world. An area of the world which is just absolutely football mad. So for them to have the world's greatest event on their doorstep is obviously fantastic. And I think it's great for the rest of the world who maybe aren't as familiar with this warm, hospitable region to come and discover it. And Qatar, specifically, in the Middle East in general, has that in full abundance of that hospitality. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to explore a new region and enjoy, what will be unbelievable football at the same time.
And I remember that was very much the messaging of the bid, wasn't it, to go to sort of new horizons? And it was the same time when the Olympics was going to new parts of the world, Pyeongchang and to Brazil, Rio as well. And from the rights holders' point of view, how important is it to you to be taking the World Cup to a new market, for want of a better word, to a new region like the Middle East for the first time?
I think it's incredibly important for just the development of football in general and the sport. FIFA's vision and the president of FIFA, his vision is very clearly to make football truly global and try and close the gap in some of the disparities and just grow the game all over the world. Going to new territories, inspiring new youngsters all over the world to get on this ladder and play football and then be one of those heroes in the future is clearly all part of this. And if you look at our other events that we do, so obviously with the expansion, the number of teams, so the Women's World Cup co-hosted in Australia, New Zealand, 2026 with US, Canada, Mexico. So the expansion of teams promotes for the first time co-hosting across multiple countries. And we believe that, that co-hosting provides additional opportunities, and those additional opportunities, really inspire and create further growth.
And this is back to Qatar. It's obviously a very different sort of situation. It's a very small country, but presumably one not without its challenges in its own way. So, what are the specific challenges that you might have faced in preparing for this event, in addition to, of course, the obvious huge challenge of the global pandemic?
Yeah, obviously the pandemic hasn't helped anyone, but I would say Qatar have been remarkable throughout the whole process, and it really hasn't impacted, on our planning. And I think the beauty of the World Cup is that every single event is unique. If you look at Germany, if you look at Brazil, look at Russia, and now look at Qatar, and then obviously 26 in the future. Each World Cup is very, very different. And I think, Qatar, perhaps more than others, the opportunity for fans to see multiple matches a day. Probably for the fans, 2 matches a day is probably enough for them to go and see. But with 4 matches a day on a congested match schedule, a more condensed match schedule than we've ever had before with 28 days. So, the opportunities, every uniqueness also promotes opportunities. And certainly the opportunity in Qatar is to celebrate in one location. We all remember the fan scenes at previous World Cups, and just in Russia, for example, across the different cities. It was just unbelievable, the sound, the vibrance that all these different teams bring. And so to have that melting pot all in one location is simply going to be incredible. So yeah, of course, an event the scale of the World Cup always has sets of complex challenges. We always say it's not rocket science, but we do need to bring everything together at the right time. And no, we're hugely excited by what's very, very unique nature of this compact nature of Qatar.
Yeah, it's compact and also new in the sense that in terms of the venues and stuff. And we talked about the length of the timeline. In a way, it's a good thing that you did have that incredibly long period of preparation, because the venues are all pretty much, apart from one or two, have well, it's been incredible to see them sort of rising from the ground over the last few years. And what's your take on how the venues will function during the event and afterwards?
Yeah, no, the venues are great. I mean, everyone's going to really enjoy these state-of-the-art stadiums. We've already used them, obviously, for test matches. We used six of them at the Arab Cup, and no, they are worthy stadiums of the world stage. We've already seen that. So no, it's the whole setup of the stadiums, the operational flows. We just Lusail to officially open, if you like. But the rest of the stadiums, as we've said, they were all finished, and Lusail's finished, just not inaugurated. We've had these available well ahead of time, which wasn't always the case for previous World Cups, and that's really allowed us to put venue teams in early, define operational planning, perimeters, signage, look and feel. So everything that goes into the setup of a venue, we've been able to do quite early in Qatar, because the venues were indeed available earlier than perhaps in some other cases.
Yes, I guess that's one of the advantages of starting a building from scratch. You can build it exactly how you want to, and in the case of this event, it's the question of building for the event and what it's going to be used for afterwards is particularly key, I think. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, the sort of post event sort of legacy use of the infrastructure?
Sure, and Qatar has kind of set their stall out in this regard very early on in terms of the legacy use of all the stadiums. So many of the stadiums will be reduced in capacity after the event. Some will be changed to mixed use rather than as a stadium. And of course, the very colourful 974 stadium made from the shipping containers will be completely dismantled and shipped elsewhere to have a second life somewhere else. So there's a legacy plan for all the stadiums.
Well, the theme of Host City Americas is where events meet technology, and technology is quite a broad term, really. But can you talk us through some of the ways in which technology is being used in Qatar for the World Cup? For instance, sustainable cooling is obviously a big part of how the event is going to be a manageable and pleasant experience for everybody.
Yeah, so look, I think inside the stadium now, we can talk about outside the stadium afterwards, but inside the stadium, you touched on the cooling technology, and this is fantastic technology. We saw it again during the Arab Cup. Now, the period of the World Cup being November, December, the weather, the climate should be excellent playing conditions in any case, but the cooling technology provides that extra reassurance. In case it would be unseasonably hot, we can maintain the temperature at pitch level for the players, and obviously throughout the stadium for fans, in order to make sure they're fully comfortable. The other technology inside the stadium that I would probably highlight is the vacuum and ventilation systems that we've installed in every single pitch, or under, I should say, every single pitch. And again, the stadiums are state of the art, but actually it's the pitch that counts the most. I mean, everything we do is obviously based around the pitch and the quality of the pitch. And there we are fully committed, together with our Qatari colleagues, to ensure that these pitches are, the best pitches that we've ever seen for a World Cup. So every single pitch has got reinforced stitching and also vacuum and ventilation. And that technology just allows us to have more control and more certainty, if you like, as to the consistency of playing conditions that we can have across all the different stadiums.
And speaking of technology, and we don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but how do you envisage technology, perhaps technologies that are in use in other sort of sectors, other walks of other fields of life? How do you think technology might further transform major events in the future, events like the World Cup?
Yeah, look, I think it's constantly changing, and that's what's exciting. And the World Cup is the biggest stage in the world for the biggest event in the world, and that allows us to develop new technologies ourselves, and also tap into what else is being done, elsewhere in the sports industry. If you look at obviously our VAR, now we feel like it's been around forever. It still hasn't been that long. We brought it in before Russia. Obviously, that's been going through a lot of still continued development and fine tuning. Offside, automated offside, goal line technology. These
Mhm.
technologies are part and parcel of our game. Enhanced tracking tools, enhanced medical tracking, fitness. So there's a lot of technology that goes in basically to the fabric of every game now. And that, it's not unusual, it's used elsewhere, but we've been able to kind of develop that further within our sport, and then provide these tools to the member associations, the confederations, for other uses afterwards. Obviously, in terms of broadcast, we have billions of viewers, and so the broadcast is always an area where we want to push the envelope. We want to deliver, frankly, the state of the art TV production, and we've always managed to do that through the use of expertise, experience, but obviously, of course, T technologies where needed.
Mm. And speaking of events of the future, hot on the heels of Qatar, you've got the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, as you mentioned earlier on, and the host cities of the 2026 World Cup in the Americas has just been announced. Some of whom we're hearing from today. Can you share some thoughts about what these events might bring for FIFA, for the hosts of these events, and for fans worldwide?
I think it's incredibly exciting. I mean, you've highlighted the two events which mark really the change in delivery model for FIFA, where we've moved from the local organizing committee model to owning our own subsidiaries, and really taking ownership directly of the entire product, for want of a better word. Event is probably a better way of putting it. So Australia, New Zealand, we're hugely excited. Given that Qatar will be 6 months later, the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand will come around that bit quicker next year. It's almost 1 year to go. So we're incredibly excited about the benchmark that will bring for women's football. We saw how the fantastic standard that Canada delivered in 2015, how that grew in 2019 in France. We've seen the expectations of the teams and the requirements of all the key stakeholders grow together with the development of the game. And Australia, New Zealand, will be a new benchmark, a new chapter in how we grow the Women's World Cup. And off the pitch as well, selling, decoupling sponsorships, and really, growing the Women's World Cup in its own right. So, that's where, Australia, New Zealand 2023 marks a real landmark in that respect. 32 teams, obviously, instead of 24. 26, on the heels of Qatar, going from a very compact World Cup to a slightly more expanded World Cup across US, Canada, and Mexico. Again, first World Cup with 48 teams, so an expansion there as well. So again, just it's hugely exciting to see how we're growing the game, how these tournaments themselves are a real catalyst to the countries involved, and by having more teams playing, what that does to their domestic growth and impetus to perform at the higher level. So, we've got a busy few years ahead. It's a constant cycle,
Mhm.
but hugely exciting.
Yeah, it's clearly a great thing for the host to have the opportunity to stage an event like this, and you saw the the enthusiasm, the excitement of all the cities across America over the last few months. And the FIFA World Cup is also one of the most watched sporting events of the world worldwide. And what advice might you give to other event owners or organisers or even hosts about how to build and maintain such a dominant market position? How do you become and stay one of the world's biggest entertainment brands, sports and entertainment brands?
Look, I think we're lucky that the sport that we represent is the largest sport in the world. So we're starting already from a very fortunate and privileged position. but it's a sport which is played, as you know, in every street corner throughout the entire world. With our youth tournaments, our domestic league, with the domestic leagues, our club tournaments, our beach soccer, our futsal, Women's World Cup, Men's World Cup, we have a whole network of events at the highest level, which then funds the development of the grassroots level. So look, I'm certainly not here to advise any other sport event. We all learn from each other. I'm a great believer in joint approach and sharing information, and we work very closely with our colleagues in other governing bodies and other event management organizations, because it's what we're all here for, is to deliver an experience. We want our events to simply be the best experience possible, no matter who you are. If you're a fan, if you're a player, if you're media, a journalist, a broadcaster, a referee, we want our event to deliver that experience. So, we're very happy and continue to share information across multiple events, multiple organizations, and then, see what works best in each particular context.
Well, we're very grateful to you for sharing your thoughts with our audience of other event stakeholders worldwide, and particularly in the Americas today, Colin. So thanks so much for joining us. It's been great chatting with you, and good luck with the last mile on the road towards FIFA World Cup 2022 and beyond.
Many thanks. Good to see you.
All the best. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, fascinating conversation there with Colin Smith from FIFA. And I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to get to your audience questions there, but I will pass on those questions to FIFA and see what they have to say about those interesting topics. Okay, so now we've got a very exciting activity happening where you can all meet each other face-to-face via this virtual platform. If you go to the homepage of the event and click join the networking speed dating, myself and my colleague Ava will talk you through how we can all connect with each other, and you can meet in smaller groups to chat. It all will be revealed. Go to the homepage and click on join the networking speed dating now. Thank you very much.